everybody, my name's Catherine. I am a feminine phenom, and today we're going to be talking about sexual consent. And while we talk, I'll be drinking a 2015 dry Riesling from Chateau Ste. Michelle. So remember that one time a human colostomy bag decided to run for president? So let's not dick around. You know what he said, I know what he said, but just to be on the same page, one time Donald Trump was trying to impress Billy Bush, and he said that he liked to grab women by their pussies. So for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna say outright, the problem with this sentence is not the use of the word pussy. Just to be clear, I have no problem with this word. Like, to prove I have no problem with this word, I've actually put together a short poem for you. Pussy, 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 vagina, vagina, labia majora, pussy. Sorry if that offends you guys, I just don't know you well enough to say the word in front of you yet. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, who cares about the vulgarity? It's the implicit sexual assault in this phrase that's the issue. And I'll put this trigger warning in here now. I'm about to talk about sexual assault about as much as I'm gonna say the word pussy. So how does a phrase like grab them by their pussy equal sexual assault? It's because you need someone's consent before you grab their vagina. I know, shocking. So what's consent? Consent is when two adults, or more, I'm not going to judge how you like to go up on a Tuesday, give their clear and enthusiastic agreement to clown down to Porktown. So this is the part where people really start to lose their shit. They're like, you expect me to stop and fill out a bunch of paperwork every time I want to play penis hockey? And the answer is no. That's, from what I understand, the plot of about 75% of 50 Shades of Grey, but no, that's not what we expect from consent. I'm sorry if you can hear a trickling in the background. It's raining in Portland. I'm as disgusted as you are. Consent doesn't necessarily mean stopping and having like a business transaction every time you want to bump ham bones with somebody. There are a lot of ways to gauge whether or not what you're doing with somebody is consensual. There's a reason I used the word enthusiastic when I was defining consent. Does your partner look like they're as into this as you are? If they're not, that's a giant red flag. Also, are they lucid enough to even understand what they're doing? Like, sure, a little bit of alcohol can definitely get the blood flowing, but has this person had so much to drink that they're not mentally there anymore? And it's just as easy as checking in and communicating. You just have to be like, hey, is it cool if I ruffle your feathers? And they might be like, sure, go ahead. And at worst, they just be like, no, ruffle your own feathers on your own time, let's get back to business. And then obviously the line in the sand is, have they said no at any point? Because if they say no, that's not an invitation to change their mind, that's an invitation to go home, masturbate, and go to bed like a fucking adult. And most people can admit this is kind of a murky gray area. Apart from a firm and steady yes or no, there aren't any firm indicators of what's consent and what isn't. But the problem is, if you cross that line in that gray area, you're not having sex anymore, you're committing sexual assault. But a lot of the talk that comes from the other side of this argument, things that demonize consent is like, it'll kill the mood if you have to stop in the middle of what you're doing to see if the other person's okay with what you're doing. But the thing is though, if you're having respectful sex, none of this should be an issue. If the idea of checking in with your partner and seeing if they're okay with what's going on would make it harder for you to have sex, wake up call, you're not having sex, you're committing sexual assault. Just to be clear, men are also victims of sexual assault all too often, and it's not an issue of men versus women. If I stumble into some rhetoric of just man-hating, it's mostly just because one time a man told me that I would never amount to be a sugar daddy, and I've just had a chip on my shoulder ever since against you guys. I know most of the flack I'll get on this is that it will make it more difficult for people to have the sex that they're used to having. But let's look at the other side of this, the consequences. I'm not talking about going to jail for sexual assault because people don't usually go to jail for sexual assault. I mean, Brock Turner's going on like a book tour or something. I mean, having some motherfucking empathy for the victims of sexual assault. They have to live their lives with PTSD, depression. It's like fucking having your arm ripped off for the rest of your life. All because you wanted to have sex that night and you wouldn't take no for an answer. Doesn't really even out, And if I still haven't gotten through to you, if there is still some dude out there who doesn't think it's a big deal that Trump wants to grab our pussies, I want you for a second to think about how you would feel if Donald Trump walked up to you and grabbed your junk without permission. Now that you're vomiting, I just want to help you out. Try to chew gum instead of brushing your teeth because you don't want to just get the stomach acid everywhere. But really, I know there's nothing to fear out of what he said. After all, his tiny baby hands honestly couldn't handle my pussy. Thank you for listening. Please be sure to vote on Tuesday. And as always, stay away from boy bands and liquor.